welcome to the Science Faction Podcast, where science meets fact meets fiction.
This is Science Faction for the week of May 5th, 2025. I'm one of your hosts, Stephen Dominguez, and with me today, two gentlemen ready for that Cinco de Mayo.
Happy Cinco de Mayo, y'all. Buenos dias, my friends. I'm Ben Lawless.
Devon Kraft.
Devon, are you in just a bathtub of queso right now, just celebrating? It's ready to
Yep.
Splash, splash,
Only if it's on like tacos.
Where did we land with Devon and queso? He's fine with it, but we thought he wasn't.
I like queso.
Yeah, I thought you weren't. Weird.
Okay.
No, I like it. I just don't like it on everything.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
But I'm fine with it in its for what it is, like on chips and stuff. But they just put it on everything here. So if you order just like a burrito, it has queso like inside it and on top of it, and it's just like, oh, that's too much.
Ugh.
I mean, this is one of those days where, like, I mean, I had my Cheerios this morning, pour some queso on it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Quesorios. Yeah, those are good. I had some quesoffee this morning. Just put it in the coffee.
That'll wake you up.
Oh yeah, well, that'll wake up your mind and your bowels. All right, so this is a podcast about science and science fiction. Let's talk about those things. Yesterday was May 4th. May the 4th be with you guys.
Yeah.
That was all over the place on my news feeds, of course. There wasn't, I didn't see, like, there weren't any big announcements or anything, but the Tales of the Underworld came out, which is a animated series, kind of. They've done Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Empire, and now Tales of the Underworld. And they're like 15-minute long-ish episodes. There were only 6 of them that came out. And they're like...
Oh, they're all out.
Oh, yeah. They just put them all out. They're just like, here you go. Enjoy your Star Wars. And I said, thank you. And then I did. There were 2 story arcs. The first one followed Asaaj Ventress, and the second one followed it was kind of like the origin story of Cad Bane. So they're a bit like not deep cuts, but kind of like you kind of have to know who these aren't like main characters. They're major side
and
characters,
favorite characters,
fan favorites for sure. Yeah. Asaaj Ventress showed up in the Bad Batch, and everyone was like, "Why? She's dead." And then everyone, she's dead. Like, yeah, they killed her off in a novel that nobody read. Like, oh, okay. And so this little mini series,
and it wasn't like a Legends novel, or was it?
No, it's canon. And so people were like, "Hey, why? If they're saying all the novels now are canon, what is she doing here?" And they went, "You just wait." And then they answered that question in this little mini series. So all is right with canon again. Devon, you can now sleep soundly once more.
Gosh, what was that? Yeah. Oh, that's right. I was thinking about Snake Plissken in Escape from Los Angeles and Escape from New York. Like, isn't he dead? Like, they keep on asking that.
Oh, really?
Throughout the entire. Yeah. That's like a common thing in that film.
Oh, okay.
In those films.
Ah, fantastic. I don't remember that. So yeah, you get a little Asaaj Ventress. There's some mentions of the Path, which was introduced in the Obi-Wan series, which is like the underground railroad for Jedi that has not been fully explored. It's just been hinted at several different ways. So yeah, that was cool. Cad Bane, if you're a Cad Bane fan, he has a very Western origin story. And so they do that. They give that to us, which was fine. It was enjoyable. So yeah, that's I did that. I watched all those yesterday. That was great. What do you guys been up to? Anything good?
I traveled to Irvine for a roller derby bout that was Star Wars themed.
Excellent. Please explain.
Yeah.
What?
It was Star Wars themed.
Oh, Star Wars theme. Okay.
Yeah, and it was super cool. I mean, like everybody did their makeup and wore Star Wars stuff. Like it was not. That's about as far as it went.
How many lightsabers were out there?
Well, so I was sent to go pick up some lightsaber like foam swords from a local Daiso, which I'd never been in a Daiso before.
What is that?
Are you guys familiar with Daiso?
No. What are you saying?
Okay.
What language is that?
So in Santa Maria, there's a store called Daiso, and all the stuff in there is like all the prices are in yen. I think it's yen. Forgive me if I'm being wrong, but like then they have like a sign that's like, here's how to convert it to US dollars, and it just has a bunch of stuff from the Asian market, like
okay.
like little tchotchkes and stuff. And so I was sent there to pick up some lightsaber stuff. Well, they were all out of lightsaber stuff. They'd come in weeks before and sold out, obviously, because of May the 4th.
Yeah.
And so I walked out of there a little bit wiser about this particular store, but it was Daiso. Daiso. They're around
their website. Yeah, they're like a thing. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Daiso.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Good times.
Good. I mean, it doesn't sound like good times because there was no lightsabers. So what did you do instead?
It was nice being in there, though. I mean, like can't complain. It was fun. So
yeah, sure, but you failed your mission. Quest incomplete. Yeah. So what did you do instead? Just nothing?
Well, as one does when they're playing any RPG, like when the quest fails, it doesn't mean it's the end of the story, Stephen. You still have 6 more hours of driving, and then like dealing with a bunch of preteens and teens kicking each other in their sleep.
Ew.
And then and then groggily showing up for like warm up and then a roller derby game, and then get back in the car for another 5 to 6 hours and be home at 11.
Gross.
Just a lot of fun,
Yeah, that sounds awful.
Yeah.
So we're recording on a Monday because on a Sunday you were tired, Ben. Ben tired.
Weird
this time.
And that doesn't ever happen.
Like
usually I'm like up for anything. But yeah, man.
Okay.
Spent a little bit of time yesterday helping decorate the school for Teacher Appreciation Week, which is this week.
Okay.
So y'all, if you know any teachers, if you support your teachers and your staff, they do an incredible job, making sure that the kids have the information they need to hopefully be successful in whatever vicious hellscape we end up in over the next few years.
Jeez. Yeah. I mean, teachers, amazing. Good job, teachers. Yeah. Underpaid, underappreciated. They do a lot with very little. So.
So thank you, teachers, and everybody listening. You should thank, all the teachers in your life too. So.
Devon, did you do anything this last couple days?
Yesterday was spent, well, I guess so. Elliot had a birthday party on Saturday, and the pool that's just outside our back fence, that's the local pool, opened up. So we had a pool party for Elliot.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that was fun. And then yesterday, Jen and I spent most of the time just like working in the backyard. We're kind of pulling everything out of the backyard to redesign it and probably put in fake grass so it's a lot more usable for our kids. So, and we got a quote for what that would cost for someone to do it, and it was an insanely high amount, and so we'll just do it ourselves. So we're like, it was a nicely designed backyard at one point, and it's kind of overgrown a bit here and there. And I liked it. I mean, it was part of what I liked about the house, but it also isn't really somewhere like it's not very inviting for the kids to go play in. So we've been like here and there changing it. Like there's patches of like ivy that are intentional. They're supposed to be like in certain parts and stuff, but we've like torn out tons of ivy and we're gonna try to level like most of the backyard and then put down fake grass. So we've been working on that a lot.
What's behind the decision for fake grass and not real grass?
We had fake grass at our house in California.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember when we were renting from Maddie and Brian.
Yeah, I remember.
You had to visit us there once
Oh,
or
yeah,
twice.
yeah. For sure.
Yeah, that's right. You did. I don't know if you ever paid attention to it during, like, if we ever went to the backyard during the day, but they had fake grass, but they had like state of the art fake grass. It was
Okay.
the nicest fake grass I've ever seen. And we can't afford that, so because we're gonna be like doing it ourselves, so we'll be rolling it out, but we're trying to do it as well as we possibly can. But just that way you don't have to worry about watering it and having patches of it, you know, and then having to worry about that. And
It's like maintenance.
hopefully, because we do have a lot of trees, and so there's a lot of debris that'll fall on it. So hopefully, it'll be easier to use a leaf blower to clean it.
Okay.
But
So just
yeah.
maintenance and water conservation, that kind of stuff.
hmm
Yeah, right on, man.
So spend a lot of time outside doing that.
I spent some time outside as well. On
Yeah.
a day. What day was that? That was on Saturday. Yeah, Martine took the kids out to the local tamale festival, and they brought me back some tamales, which were delicious. But while they were doing that, I finally got my forge up and running.
Look at you.
Yeah, I made iron submit to my will. So yeah, I finally got my setup complete. I've got my anvil on a custom made anvil stand that I made from a bunch of wood that I got from some loser's house that they were just giving away. Thanks, Ben.
Weird. You're welcome.
I saved a
Anytime.
bunch of money because I was just gonna go buy fresh wood, and that's for suckers. So yeah, I was able to.
Devon,
use...
if you need any real wood for your fake grass, let me know.
Yeah, we're gonna ship it to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got that all set up. I had my propane forge all set up. And I actually on Friday, I did it like a test run and ended up melting something that should not have been melted. So the propane forge it's just like a metal box. It's open in the front and the back. Inside is lined with this wool, like it's like an insulation, anti-inflammatory insulation stuff, with a fire brick on the bottom. So fire heat will come out of the front and the back, and it's meant to. It's that way so that you could put a long piece of bar in it to heat it wherever you need to, which is fine. It's a great design. It's functional, but the way that the heat gets to it is there is a big tube on the top that sticks straight down, and that's where the propane connects to. So the propane goes up a big old tube, like rubber tube, and then down a metal tube into the forge itself. Well, it's a bit unwieldy because you have this big rubber tube kind of flopping around up there, and if it's not in the right place, forge fire can get to it, and that's exactly what happened. So I was testing it out on Friday, just kind of getting the setup right, and turning it on and figuring out how to adjust the flame and all that. Heated up a little piece of metal, whacked it a few times just to see how it would go. And then I realized that the tube, the rubber tube that has the propane in it going from the tank to the forge, was like bubbling. And I was like, oh, that's probably not good. So shut everything down. And as I shut everything down, that rubber was hissing. So I had melted through the rubber and broken it. And I was like, oh, well, this isn't right. And through a bunch of trial and error, ended up going to our local hardware store back and forth a few times to get replacement parts, which was fine, and got it all hooked up properly again on Saturday, and I also ended up buying more fire bricks. And fire bricks are these cool little like thin bricks that are heat resistant up to like 2,600 degrees Fahrenheit. And so I took some of those bricks and blocked the back of the forge. And this is if you look at YouTube videos, this is a common thing to do with these forges because it keeps the heat in where you want it. If you're not forging a long bar, well, then you don't need to push it through all the way. So I used the fire bricks to close the back and kind of close the front a little bit, like about halfway, to just keep the heat inside in a more efficient way. And that worked gangbusters. I have no problem with heat escaping where I don't need it anymore at all. So the first thing I forged was I was trying to do just like a little thumb ring just to see if I could do it. This is not something I've seen anybody do online. I was like, I think I could do this. And just got this this piece of metal that I found in the yard when I was doing yard work, just rusty old like nail. But more than a nail, I think it probably came out of one of the railroad ties or something. I used that, forged that out long and thin, and tried like wrapping it, and a lot of trial and error. Had to kind of redo it a few times. And in the end, it ended up cracking and breaking. Just a bit. So it's more like a C shape than a full ring. So I did that, and I had to size it. And it's hard to size things when it's 1,000 degrees and you can't touch it. So there's a lot of guesswork. But in the end, I made this little thing, and I ended up going to my what do you call it? Shoot, what's the name of it? Well, the thing that holds other things, and it's made of metal, and you twist one side. A vice? Not a vice. What am I trying to say? Is it a vice? It is. It must be a vice.
Clamp?
Clamp? No.
C-clamp or
no? It's bolted to my
vending machine.
Yes, a vending machine. I shoved it in the vending machine. No, it's one of those.
A vice? Yeah, a vice grip
think,
sounds right.
I mean, it's not a vice. Like vice grips are like a hand tool. I guess vice is the right word. Something's not clicking. Anyways, put it in there. Used a file to like file it down and make it look nice, and then heat it up a little bit more. Put it in some wax to seal it, and it turned out okay, and it fits and everything. And the reason why, like, I have it, and it's like, for me, it's kind of like, okay, this is the first thing I did on my own, and it's broken. Like I didn't do it successfully, and that's like a good starting point, right? Because if you can't start off and do everything perfectly, that's impossible. Like you know that you have to start off with some failures, and this is a failed piece that's just kind of failed. And then after that, I ended up forging a hook. Just a standard wall hook, just kind of looks like a J, and the end's kind of tapered and twisted a bit. And I use that to hang up my apron out in my little shop there. So it's already being used. So yeah, started doing that, and that was a whole lot of fun. I also have a big burn on my arm from a piece of flake or a scale that flaked off, landed on my arm while I was doing something else, and I couldn't brush it off in time. And so I have this little burn mark now. So yeah, that's part of the process. Hooray blacksmithing. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Rip your arm.
Rip arm hair. Actually, there was a certain point where I was moving stuff around. I got too close to the forge, and I was like, what's that smell? I looked down, and all the bunch of hairs on a certain part of my arm were all curled up and like singed. I was like, oh, that's me. Oops. So learning a lot of things the hard way. Not too hard, fortunately, but yeah, that's a lot of fun out there. You guys watching The Last of Us?
No.
Not since episode 2. Ruined my life.
Okay.
Just
Yeah, that's fine. It's real good, y'all. They're doing a good job.
Right on.
Yeah.
Cool. Good.
Last night's episode had like a fan favorite moment, and they pulled it off beautifully. So that was
awesome.
pretty cool. All right.
Very cool. So I think I'm two 2 behind now, I think.
Okay.
Because that was the 4th episode.
Yeah, 4th
right?
episode was last night. So.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's that.
I haven't watched any of this season. I
Why?
do know the big thing that happened, but I haven't watched any of this season yet.
How come? It's time.
We finished You, the last season of You, and then we started watching Andor. I'm not that interested in The Last of Us, but I mean, I liked the first season, although by the end I was also kind of like getting tired of it. I don't know, zombie shows, they get boring quickly, but I know there's more to it. It's more about the characters, and I do know what the big thing that happens this season or happened in like episode 2. So
How did that happen?
we'll probably get to it maybe after we catch up on Andor.
Okay. Yeah, Andor's been.
Yeah, how did you find out?
I mean, I was just during the first season, I heard so much talk about the big thing that's going to happen in the second season. And I was just like, fine, I just want to know what it is. Everyone who's played the game knows what it is. So it's not like it's a huge spoiler. I mean, it is a huge spoiler, but it's like, all the fans know what it is. And it's not, they didn't know how they were going to pull it off. So it was some question about it, but I was like, I just want to know what it is. Tell me what it is. So I looked it up.
Okay.
So
All right.
on purpose. Okay. Fair enough.
Wow.
Imagine how fun
Well,
that would have been.
I mean, this things that are mysteries like that, I'm like, well, if most people know, I mean, like, it's not, I don't know, it didn't seem like a typical spoiler since it's something that's been revealed already. Or
Yeah, you wouldn't want to trust like finding out this to like just anybody. You wanted to make sure you got it straight from an article talking about it.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, I get you.
Just read a summary of the plot for the second game, and it's like, okay, well, that's what's going to happen in the second season.
Give or take. Yeah, that's pretty much how it is. Okay. Well, let's move right along here. We're already 20 minutes in. All right, it's time for us to move to future or now.
Now.
There it was. I was waiting for it. Ben, tell us, do you have future or do you have now?
Let's talk about now, y'all.
Okay, what's happening?
So if you maybe you don't have a modern M series Macintosh, and you're looking over at what Apple is doing with their current AI models, which have basically a large portion of it, the most useful parts of it, and the least harrowing and dystopian of what they're doing happens to be in their writing tools implementation. Well, what if there was a writing tools implementation that worked across a bunch of different operating systems, such as Windows, Linux, as well as Mac OS, that supercharges your writing with a large language model that is either cloud-based or local.
Okay.
And this is, so someone did this. A high school student from Bangalore created and is maintaining a GitHub repository for a tool called Writing Tools that is Apple Intelligence inspired. And the basic idea is you press a hotkey system-wide that you can set, and it lets you fix grammar, optimize text according to any of your instructions, summarize content like web pages, YouTube videos, etc., and does even more than that. It works in any language, and it's seems pretty cool. So if this is at all interesting to anybody, what's kind of fascinating about this is because it's free and open source, and because you can see all the information about it. According to their README, they're very privacy focused. So your API key and config files stay on your device. There's no logging, no diagnostic collection, no tracking, no ads. And if you use a local LLM, that stays on your device, though there is the ability for it to use Gemini or any other cloud-based LLMs like ChatGPT, based on, logging in with your own account. So in those cases, the privacy is kind of up to whatever provider of the LLM that you're using. But there's essentially a 1-minute installation on any platform that you'd like, and yeah.
Well,
Check it out.
Who's this for? Who's going to use this?
Well, do you write things on a computer, Stephen?
Rarely. But
maybe once a week you work on a summarization for a podcast that you run.
I mean, yes. I'm just saying, like, I'm not asking that to be like, why do we need this? Just like, who is this for? Like, who will benefit from this? Where is there a place where there's not AI now? Like, isn't it already integrated into everything already? What's the purpose here? Who's this for?
How often do you use AI that's built into your operating system? And not invoked through like a web browser.
Well, the only time I do any kind of writing, it's already in a web browser. Like, I don't really do anything local anymore.
Yeah. So this would be, like operating system wide. It's not just in a browser. There's a lot to a computer. It's not just in a browser, despite what tech companies would have you believe.
Right.
that run services that they make money from that are in a browser. But, the basic idea, like, is that, okay, so for example, it fills a void that services such as Grammarly also filled, where if you need to adjust the tone of something you're writing, or you're editing something that you're interested in, sounding more professional, sounding more friendly, all those things, you can use these AI models in order to help you out with that. You can use it to translate to any language.
Oh, okay.
And yeah.
Oh,
so
right on. That's cool.
Yeah. What would someone do with it? Well, there is a lot that can be done. It kind of just has to do with whatever your familiarity and interest in AI is. And I think that, like, one thing that's fascinating about that is I came across this YouTube video, and I'm not going to find it right now, but one of the things that was being posited there was, well, so many people use AI tools and they use it as a tool. They go to it, they try doing something with it, and maybe it gets you at 80% of the way there, but it's not 100%. It's not perfect yet. So they say, well, the tool isn't going to work for me right now, because that's how you work with tools. If the tool doesn't do the job that you're expecting, you put it away and you don't worry about it. Like, right. you just forget about it and you move on to something else. What this video was encouraging people to do is, if you're curious about this stuff, that maybe the benefit there is in thinking about it as something that you're working with them, with the tool on. For example, if you had a coworker that you were training to help you out with, to do a certain part of the job, you're not just going to, basically, when you get something you're not expecting back from them, you work with them and you tell them, hey, this is what's not right about it. And so that is the difference here, is that you're working with a living thesaurus, plagiarism machine. And but it can help you out with the type of writing communications that many of us do throughout the world, and throughout our lives in a digital connected world. And so another thing that you can do with it that's actually really fascinating is you can actually ask it, hey, can you help me write a prompt on how I can use AI in my life? Or you can ask it how to work with AI. Okay. And
how do I use you, program?
Yeah. Right? and that also is like, it's not going to get upset with you about that. It's probably really happy to tell you ways, and so, like,
let's not put emotions,
considering it as a conversation,
let's not put emotions into AI.
it's going to be really angry, and you're going to start Skynet. You're going to start the.
This is
right?
interesting because
what's the worst that could happen?
We've gone through this whole renaissance of computers, and we're in an interesting place because as kids we didn't really have them, and then as we grew up, now they're everywhere. Previous generation, even less, and current generation, well, they've always had them, and so AI is kind of the same thing, where it's this, and when I say AI, of course, I mean these large language models have like popped up and have populated everywhere, and without any real like, hey, this is how we use this. This is how this should be. I imagine our kids might have AI classes at a certain point to be like, this is how we use this tool. And this is how we use it the correct way. Here's the ways that you use it incorrectly. Just like how with computers and like safe, like knowing when you're being scammed with emails and stuff, right? Like there's this whole like section that people of a certain age are going to completely miss. And there's going to be people that just put things in AI and just whatever pops out, well, this must be true. Let's tariff everything, even the the penguins. So like, yeah, we need literacy, AI literacy, and things like this are like a step in that direction because you're not working with a big corporation that's going to alter its AI to do certain things. It's just open source deal. Okay.
It's also a very benign use of it. It's taking what's already there, your words, and it's, like I said, it's a living thesaurus.
Yeah.
And that is that I think is an interesting like way to dip your toes into it.
Excellent. Devon, do you use AI with your LLMs in your work?
I have been more, yeah. Usually to rewrite stuff, if maybe they're like tonally, because like I'll write stuff that's kind of just like matter of fact, and if I know it needs to be more, I don't know, nuanced or more sounds a different way, I'll put it into ChatGPT and ask it to rewrite it. Yeah, I mean that's kind of all I'll use it for. There's been like a couple times where I've had to write a letter that is just it's funny. It's a form over substance, something where like I just have to sound like really nice but there's no real like legal substance to it. It's a very, how do I put it? Like if it's the kind of writing I'm really not suited to, where it's just like, oh, just sound like we care, like just
Yeah.
just be nice. Like it doesn't have to like say anything. Just be like, oh, we hear your concerns and we're working to, make sure we do X and Y and we hope you blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that is not the kind of writing I do. Like, I'm like, here are the facts. Here's the law. Here's how the facts apply to the law. Here's what should happen. Here's what we should do.
Yeah.
So letters like that, I go like just straight to ChatGPT and like, just write me a letter that says nice things, whatever.
Right. These
the
facts
parameters
need
of
to
the
be
letter.
included. Needs to have this kind of tone.
And then that really, it helps in those situations a lot, for me.
So,
but other than that, like maybe because I also, a lot of what we do is like just keeping files updated, and so we have to write some things like kind of redundantly, and so I'll use it to just like write this again, but just differently.
I'm curious how much this use of LLMs is bad. Because look, doing what you're doing you're using the LLM as a tool to get an end result, which is great. That's what it's there for. You are using the tool correctly. However, there was a time when knowing how to write in those two different ways, matter of factly and client facing, whatever you want to, however you want to say it. Being able to do both of those things was like a skill and a talent and something that you might hire for. And that seemingly in the future, or perhaps it's beginning now, is just going to go away. And all of this nicety going back and forth is going to be just purely generated by these LLMs on both sides. Well, like Martine, let me just quickly finish. Like Martine will do the same thing. She'll write something out, throw it into ChatGPT, they make it tonally like this, reviews it, sends it off. And she's also received emails that are just like, 3 paragraphs long. She goes, I don't have time for this. Copy paste. What is this saying, ChatGPT? And then it breaks it down to its essentials again. Like, what are we doing, everyone? Can't we just talk?
Yeah, or anyway, their response is written by ChatGPT, so it's just ChatGPT talking to ChatGPT.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's...
if I had to write, if I was back in college, well, first of all, I mean, in school, I can't imagine, I would have used ChatGPT. How could you not? But or writing cover letters for jobs or applications for colleges and stuff, that would make it so much easier.
Right, but then who are
to make it sound right?
Yes, 1,000%. But then who are they hiring? Are they hiring your skill set, or are they hiring your ability to use the LLM? Which is
if my
both
skill
are
set
important.
is using
exactly.
If my skill set is using ChatGPT to get a result, then what would they care if it's me using ChatGPT or me just completely on my own?
Yeah. What an interesting place for us to be.
I have another friend who's a lawyer who does stuff that's way more contract based, and he says he's recently used AI. I'm not exactly sure which system he's used, but he's figured out ways to have it generate contracts and things just based on certain parameters, and it can just go through and write what he would have written, and then of course he goes back through and reviews it, but it makes perfect sense, especially with something that uses a lot of boilerplate language. Just have a computer. And I know there've actually been for a long time, there have been computer programs that have done that for legal type of stuff. But I think ChatGPT, you can get more nuanced on the certain facts of the case to tailor something that's really specific. So,
yeah.
And that's why also, you can already do things if you want to do your own contracts or leases or even wills and trusts and things, you can just buy a book, you can buy a computer program that'll do it for you. And then there's always issues with how specific is the computer program to your jurisdiction? But with ChatGPT or with AI this way, it is going to make that type of legal stuff way more accessible to people without having to hire a lawyer. So that's probably a good thing. I mean, we shouldn't have to hire a lawyer to do something as simple as a will, so that you don't have to spend $1,000 for a lawyer to do what basically you can do yourself.
Those things are expensive. Yes. It's way more than $1,000. Okay. Well, since Devon's talking, keep talking. What's this Mickey 17 all about?
It's a movie that I watched recently. I think we talked about it, just the trailer when it came out a couple months ago.
The trailer looked like a whole lot of fun. I'd never got away to the theater to see it. How did you see it?
I saw it at home. It was available to rent on Amazon.
Oh, okay. Awesome. How was it?
Yeah. I enjoyed it. I didn't love it. It's very weird. Which is fine. I like weird, but it was weird in a way that I don't think ever came together properly to justify the weirdness. It's by the writer and director of Parasite. Did you guys ever see Parasite? It was a Korean movie. It won Best Picture.
Yeah, it's one of those that's on my list, but I haven't gotten around to it yet.
Okay, that was really good. I highly recommend that to watch. And so this is kind of, from what I've seen, this is kind of that director having made that movie. This was kind of his blank check movie to be okay, well, you get to kind of make whatever weird movie you want with, I guess minimal studio interference. and this is what he came up with, which is based on a book, so it's not a completely like original idea. And it makes sense that it's based on a book because a lot of weird things happening. It's like in the book they were probably fleshed out a bit more.
Okay.
But it's just like so, and the premise, which is, I mean, think you get from the trailer and from any description of the movie, and the reason it's called Mickey 17 is the main character is what's called an expendable, and he's on a mission to colonize a new planet. And he whenever he dies, they can reprint him. And so they make him do all like the dangerous stuff, and they even like do tests on him, and then they reprint him. And so in the movie, this is the 17th version of him.
Okay.
And so and then the real plot is at the very, I mean, it might be the first scene of the movie. I think he like falls through like this crevice because it's like an ice planet, and he falls and he's like dying at the bottom of this crevice, and he's like, I wish, he's like, I wish that had killed me because you didn't have to like suffer the pain of dying slowly. And then they think it did kill him, so they print Mickey 18, and so it's about the problem of having a copy of himself. Which is again kind of typical sci-fi.
That's clone sci-fi. Yeah, you get that a lot.
But the
like that Paul Rudd TV show that was that had like one season and then disappeared.
Yeah, it had one season. That was a weird show. That wasn't bad, but I can see why I didn't get a second season. But then the other overlaid on this is like the theme of religion. This particular expedition is being led by a political and religious leader who certainly comes off a bit Trumpy. Like, I mean, some people hear me say a bit, they're like, this was, a clone of Trump. And then, there's different aspects of it. And, so I mean, I have seen people criticize it to be like, oh, it's so overtly anti-Trump, it's dumb. I don't care if it's anti-Trump. I'm funny anti-Trump. I just think that character maybe was a little bit goofy. Like, I don't care if it's Trump. It's just, I mean, yes, Trump is goofy himself. I mean, so it's hard to make a parody of someone who's so effing crazy. But
It's funny. A lot of people are like, "Hey, this pop culture thing is anti-Trump." Like, no, if you look at it, it's authoritative and idiocy, and like the people are screaming about Andor now. Like, I can't believe that now Andor is all about politics. It's like it's always been since the beginning. Were you not paying attention?
It's a rebellion against an authoritarian government. Like if that happens to match reality, that's not the show's fault.
That's our fault. It's a failure of of our culture that's what that is, and not just fantasy. Anyways, Mickey 17.
So I found that character a bit annoying, not because it was anything related to Trump, just because I thought it could have used a little bit of nuance. Mm-hmm. Just to make it more interesting, because it was so over the top, like I'm an evil dictator, but I'm also really goofy because I'm like just doing everything for my own glory and for the optics of it. And so a lot of what drives the plot in that sense is just this stupid character being like, well, and being manipulated by his advisors and his wife to be like, well, yeah, we should do it that way because it'll look great in the historic, record with me like triumphing over this and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then this weird thing with his wife where she's like obsessed with sauces, like sauces you eat with, and so there's weird things, they're quirky things, and they're not bad. It's just when it's all put together, it's just feels weird and somewhat unsatisfying, but it's a good movie. Like I would say if you saw the trailer and it'll look good, I would still recommend seeing it. I think there's plenty to get out of it, and it is nice to have a somewhat original sci-fi movie to watch, and it does have some interesting things happen, and it's well made. So I would give it, I'd give it a shot. I'm not giving it a negative review. I'm just saying I think it could have been better. And if you're ready for just like weirdness, then it'll be fine. Just be prepared for it being like just a bunch of WTF. Like, okay, I guess that's how things work in this world.
All right, fair enough. Okay, well, let's move ourselves right along here. I've got something that's it'll be kind of quick. I'm gonna call it Metal Mice. This comes from Science Daily. It was published on May 1st. The title is Designer Microbe Shows Promise for Reducing Mercury Absorption from Seafood. So this is kind of neat. We get mercury in our bodies because we're at the top of the food chain, and mercury is something that plankton eat, and then the things that eat plankton, it goes into that, and then it goes into the fish, and then the fish go into us. And mercury's bad because it can cause birth defects. So scientists inserted DNA encoding methylmercury detoxification enzymes into the genome of an abundant human gut bacterium. The engineered bacterium detoxified methylmercury in the gut of mice and dramatically reduced the amount that reached other tissues, such as the brain and liver. Mice given an oral probiotic containing the engineered microbe and fed a diet high in bluefin tuna had much lower methylmercury levels than expected, suggesting that a probiotic might eventually make it safer for people to consume fish. Researchers performed these tests using pregnant mice and found lower levels of methylmercury in both maternal and fetal tissues and lower signs of mercury toxicity in the fetal brain. I mean, I thought this was cool because we are editing DNA and genomes and getting a positive result. So let's see. Let me get down to the good bits here. So first of all, mercury is a pollutant that enters water from several sources, the largest of which are human activities such as coal burning, artisanal gold mining and smelting, and waste from consumer products. In the ocean, mercury transforms into a toxic form called methylmercury. It also biomagnifies, meaning that methylmercury concentrations in animal tissues increase up the food chain from algae eaters to top predators like humans. Let's see. Researchers modified Bacteroides theta-etiomicron, a naturally abundant bacterium in the human digestive tract, by inserting DNA encoding mercury detoxification enzymes from a mercury-resistant soil bacterium. So we're going from a soil bacterium and editing that and putting it into a bacterium that is common in the human digestive tract. After confirming that the engineered bacteria could clear methylmercury in a test tube, they replaced the natural gut microbiomes of mice with the modified bacteria and orally administered a large amount of methylmercury all at once. Like, that sounds horrific. Like, how do you just administer? The mice had lower levels of methylmercury in their intestines just 3 hours after, and the level continued to fall for 4 days, showing that the bacteria helped to effectively eliminate the methylmercury in the intestine. Let's see. When the team repeated the experiments with salmon, which contains lower levels of methylmercury than the bluefin tuna, the bacterium was also effective. Let's see. Finally, they fed the bacteria as an oral probiotic to mice with intact microbiomes and fed them the same bluefin tuna diet as the mice in the previous experiment. Under these conditions, the engineered bacteria were also remarkably effective at minimizing the amount of methylmercury that entered tissues, suggesting that one day a probiotic could be developed to reduce the risks of a fish-based diet. I mean, that's what science should be doing right there, right?
Right.
That's super cool. Now, what they don't really get into in this article is what detoxifying methylmercury actually is. Like, what does it break it down into? What does it do to it? Does it just stop it from going into the other tissues and it just eliminates, naturally? Or does it? I don't know. It doesn't really get into those bits, because my whole deal was like, okay, where's it going? Is it just going to go like into a toilet and then back into the ocean and then back into the algae and then back, like is it just going to loop now and we'll ignore it, or is it breaking down into something more dangerous, less dangerous? I don't know, but that's pretty cool. Edit some DNA, make our gut bacteria better. Why not?
For sure. Way to go, UCLA and UCSD.
UCSD. Yeah, it was UCLA and UCSD scientists that did this. So pretty neat.
Yeah.
Anytime DNA is getting edited, I get excited. Let's do that. Let's do more of that. That's fun. I don't know why. It's fun. It's a fun thing to do.
Just a thing you like. Yeah.
It's a thing that makes me happy. It makes me smile. They're like, hey, we edited this DNA. Just big grin on my face. Like, yeah, that's right. Anyways. So yeah, links for that will be in our show notes, as well as the trailer for Mickey 17 and stuff that Ben talked about if you want to get your LLM on. In the meantime, we're going to take ourselves a little break. And when we come back, we are doing our book club, A Brief Dance to the Music of the Spheres by Michael Kurland. So I hope everyone read their copy of Omni Magazine from, was it like the 60s?
1983.
83. Hey, look, it's been a long day. So we'll be
obviously.
We'll be right back. Hey, you. Yeah, you sitting there listening to this for free, like some kind of podcast freeloader. Look, I'm not saying you owe us, but if you enjoy our deep dives into AI, space, and comic book mayhem, maybe toss a coin to your podcasters. Join our Patreon, get into our Discord, grab some exclusive content, and finally achieve that deep, satisfying sense of superiority over your non-Patreon listeners. Just imagine their sad, uninformed little faces. Patreon.com/Science Faction Podcast, because knowledge is power, and power is best hoarded behind a paywall. And we're back.
Heyo.
Hey.
Hi.
And a big thank you to our patrons, Renee, Josh. You know who you are. Thank you.
You're
And moving on. Yeah.
They're the best listeners that we've ever had. Only them.
Yeah.
No one else. Get on their level is what I'm saying.
I see. Yeah. Okay. So next week for book club, we're going to read or listen to a story by Jorge Luis Borges called There Are More Things. There will be a link to a reading of it by an interesting YouTube channel called Quasar Spectra, which is a bunch of non-AI readings of pre-90s science fiction and speculative fiction. So
that's so specific.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I suppose specific, but what a treasure trove that Quasar Spectra has been able to uncover.
Yeah. So. Those AI readings they're not there yet. Ugh, they're creepy.
I mean, maybe one day, but
yeah.
Of note, it's algorithm free. It's not, or rather, I mean, I guess we're the algorithm now. Check out their channel, yeah. Quasar Spectra. Of which, thanks to Devon, he turned me on to the reading of this story that we're going to be covering today by Quasar Spectra. So if you want to hear someone do a really good job of reading A Brief Dance to the Music of the Spheres by Michael Kurland, we'll have the link to that in the show notes as well. But let's get started.
Let's do
it.
So I read the words from the Internet Archive. Yeah, I had to use my hands. No, it's like a baby's toy. On the archive.org archive of this Omni magazine. I read it that way. And it's 3 pages. It's not very long, but man, does it contain a lot. There's I really enjoyed this, you guys. I don't know why. I mean, it was interesting, the twists and turns. And just the language used within, like it. What's interesting is that some old, quote unquote, old sci-fi has a certain language to it because they have yet to have reached our modern digital age. And so you kind of have to do a little translation in your head a bit. But this, so it had a little bit of that in there, but it was pretty good. I enjoyed this. Devon, give us a breakdown.
All right, so what happened?
Yeah, tell us, Devon.
How about you give us a breakdown?
Okay. So there's two beings. Daradan and the other one. What's the other one? Threna? No, Threna.
I think it's Threna. That sounds right.
Threna and Daradan are just out there in the universe being just existing. And Threna's like, "Hey, you used to be human. What's that all about?" And he was like, I don't really remember. And she's like, "Well, kid, let's go back to Earth and check it out." And he's like, "I guess." Yeah. And then they go back to Earth. And
yeah. And what do they find there? They find nothing except
empty cities.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, empty cities, but then they also hear a voice that beckons them towards the box.
The box. And so they go to the box, and
which is the building that housed the transformation.
Yeah, and it's being very vague about all this stuff because the twist is about to happen. So Daradan is like, "You know what? I'm going to walk in there." And then he does.
Yeah. Yeah, he floats in there.
Yeah, he floats in there.
He is welcomed back by a deep, hollow voice resonating in his mind. And he goes in and then has sudden throbbing pain.
Yeah. A white flash that died to red oblivion. My mind turned on itself and I was no more. Whoops.
Right. Slowly, he comes to himself again and finds that his consciousness has been placed back into his body.
Yeah. And like suddenly he's getting like memories and things start coming back to him.
Right. So there we find out that the box was the structure, the building, and everything in it that ushered people into the singularity, into leaving their human forms. Mm-hmm. And the box was at a very remote location. Was it in Antarctica?
Oh yeah, they talked about it was like buried in ice or something. Or it used to be. Yeah. Yeah. No, go ahead.
Here is where we start to learn a little bit more about Daradan, a little bit more about the life that he hasn't had for millennia, but now he does again, because the voice is actually a robot that has that's kind of there and taking care of the interior of the box. And Daradan asks, "Hey, where's Threna? Like, I went in here. Where's my friend?" And the voice is like, "Just hold on, wait." And the as time goes on, and as he gets up and starts stretching the sinews and the skin that he hasn't inhabited for many, many, many years, he finds out that his body and has been cryogenically frozen, and he's just been reintroduced his consciousness back to his human body. And where's everybody else? Well, everybody else over the years, their cryogenic pods had malfunctioned, and so he's got the last body.
Yeah, there's no more bodies. Everyone's still in the machine, and he is reminded that humanity spread throughout the solar system, could go no further, got real upset about it, and decided, well, we'll make our own with blackjack and hookers. To quote Futurama, they made their own universe in a computer so that they could go out into a universe and explore. And so then they all went in there, and this robot's like, oh yeah, every like 10,000 years, I'm supposed to like wake some of you up, but your body's the only one that's left. So
Yeah, specifically the technicians, and he's
yeah.
the last of the technicians.
Right.
And he said, recalled from where? Called back to Earth from the infinite universe? Not quite, Dariden.
Yeah, not quite.
And that, I want to put a pin in that, because that is something I want to talk about a little bit, quite a bit.
So then in the end, this thing is like, well, what do you want to do? It's like, I want to go back in the box. And then he does. And then Threna's there, and she's like, what was in there? What'd you find? And he's just like, the past is past. I told her I find this dull. Let's not stay here on this ball of mud while the infinite delights of the far universe await us. Let us be off. And off they go. End of story. It's not worth it being in the real world. Take the blue pill. Stay in the machine.
I'm sorry. Did you mention that humanity actually did go to the stars, though?
Yeah. So,
oh, that's right. They did end up figuring it out.
They did. Yeah, because
it's kind of like
there
the
was
ironic part of it that humanity did finally do what it was trying to do. So maybe if they'd waited, although it could have been future generations, so you don't know if he would have survived, but humanity did eventually go to the stars. Real.
Yeah. And what's fascinating though is that where has he been? Not the far universe at all.
The computer.
Within the computer system.
Yeah, just a simulation.
Yeah. Like it was not necessarily like, is Threna even a being that had previously existed, or is Threna part of the simulation that Dariden?
That's like, was that how the computer gets him to go back to Earth, to not literally, but mentally go back to the box to come out and check on things, like rather than just having a message pop up like, all right, now it's your time to leave. It's like a more organic way of, we'll just have this thing ask you to come back to Earth.
Yeah, because as a technician, he's indentured to come back to their bodies every 1,000 years, and there was 20 of them rotating on a rotating basis to investigate any new work that had been done while you scrambled about inside of me, says the AI.
Yeah.
To walk the miles of my internal corridors and check my wiring, to peer into my crystal lattices, to determine the status of the bodies of your brothers in my great halls, and to look in on the strivings of those poor humans who had not opted for the freedom of the box.
The freedom of the box.
Yeah.
And so this story has
19,
a lot in it.
Right. The other 19 technicians no longer have bodies, but they're still flitting about the boundless space of the interior of the box on wings of electrons. Their bodies long since useless, since the cryogenic process had its flaws.
Wow.
Yeah. And so are they just the 20 technicians, but there's other people, like thousands or millions of people that went in there and just like discarded their bodies completely? Or is it just these 20 humans that are in there?
I suspect that there's millions of people who had gone into the box, but there were certain people that are indentured, and these 20 were the indentured ones.
Oh, yeah, so like whoever wanted to go in could, but these 20 were earmarked to then come back to check the crystal lattices and whatever. Okay, that makes sense.
Right, to kind of perform maintenance every 1,000 years.
Check the oil every 20,000 years, whatever.
Right.
I think it was the book Blind Sight where main character, his mom, went into like, when you retire, when you get old, and it's kind of like that, the episode of Black Mirror, I want to say San Andreas, but it's not that. What's San Junipero.
Yeah.
Where when you're old, you can be uploaded into a computer and keep living there. And the way it was described in Blindsight, if that's the correct book, was that like you could go visit them, and I think you were like, you put like something on where you would go into their world and interact with them. And he said like, but it doesn't really work that well because quickly the people inside the computer start building a world that doesn't make sense to you because they have the ability to do anything and they don't need bodies and they don't, like it's a completely different mode of existence. And so it doesn't make sense to us who are still bound by the requirements of like physical, limitations in biology. So mentally they evolve into these weird things that you can't comprehend. And so it's like once you're uploaded in a computer and you want your family to come visit you or the family wants to come visit you, it doesn't make sense because there's like the communications are so weird. It's like us trying to talk to an AI where we're like, if you look at the AI programming, it's like a black box that we don't even understand anymore because it's self-generating. And so it's kind of interesting to think of humans being like that.
Yeah, in an environment where I could do anything, it would very quickly not become recognizable to anyone else. That's and this very short story, like I said, like 3 pages, it goes through these beings that are not corporeal and like flitting around the universe, and like you get used to that, and then it goes to like, oh, but actually you're living inside of a computer and there's like all this other stuff going on, and then it it's talking about the humanity and the future and the past, and like this short story talks about so many high level concepts and just like melds them together seamlessly. It doesn't feel jarring at all. It all kind of makes sense. And that's pretty incredible. I really enjoyed this story. It's good.
Yeah, it's good. When we talk about one of the solutions to the Fermi paradox being intelligent civilizations doing this, where they just upload themselves to a computer, and so they're not interested in exploring the outside because they're just all safe in their own matrix type worlds.
I mean, the whole idea that space is so big that we can't really easily go and travel. Like even if we could travel the speed of light, like it's still takes quite a while to get places, right? You got something.
I wonder if you could have a combination of the two where people upload themselves to a computer and stay on their home planet, but you have like von Neumann bots going and colonizing the galaxy and sending that information back so that the simulation you're experiencing in your computer back home is a representation of what's actually happening in the world. So you're kind of like exploring what's actually out there, but you're still in the safety of your computer back home.
So the computer.
I mean, I know there's light speed limitations, but you could slow down the computer to. I mean, it might take thousands or millions of years to get enough info to be able to have an accurate simulation, but you can also slow yourself down or pause yourself when you do it.
Yeah. Whoop. Someone's alarm's going on.
All right, I'm getting a work call.
All right. Well, mute yourself. Do
right.
what you got to do. So
hopefully that wasn't.
What?
Hopefully that wasn't an important call. I just sent it to voicemail.
Oh.
All right.
It's
Well, we
fine.
can wrap this up.
Yeah.
I mean,
This was good. This is an old piece of sci-fi that I never would have come across if not for the Internet Archive. So that's really, really cool. Yeah.
Long live the Internet Archive.
Thanks for finding
y'all.
that,
If
Ben.
there is, if there is anything that could use a little bit of attention, and it's a nonprofit, the Internet Archive. One of the interesting stuff that's happening on the Internet Archive has to do. So this is archive.org. Has to do with how they are preserving the internet for, basically like they have web crawlers that go through and they take snapshots of websites, for long-term archiving.
Mm-hmm.
Now, right now, there's an interesting, like one of their major things that they've been kind of working on has had to do with how can I put this? I'm actually like trying to scroll through their blogs recently, but they save websites and preserve websites that are government based whenever there is a change of presidents. Because
okay.
Yeah,
in case we get one that decides to just go through and wipe out a bunch of stuff, a bunch of history that's maybe important.
Well, this is not a new thing. It's not this was not spurred by Trump's second presidential I wasn't alluding to everything here now, but it has been something that they've done the past several, because sure enough, it's all part of like the history of politics, and that's important to know. To think that all like things that have been going on for the last 20, 25 years, if they were digital and they were deleted, then they're gone if they're not preserved.
Yeah.
And many of this, because it is our culture, should be preserved in some way, especially things having to do with how government operates. So that is one of many different things that the Internet Archive is working to preserve. If you have any interest in that, then support them. Use their services is a great way to support them. Tell everybody you know about the Internet Archive. There's a lot on there. Like there is live music archives from a lot of different bands that maybe you recognize. There's a lot of software preservation that's on there as well, which is fascinating. And that's my little plug for the Internet Archive.
Awesome. Devon?
Yeah.
You have any final thoughts?
No.
Ben?
Yes. Oh yeah, I've got some final thoughts. So I'm collecting fish jokes for a book that I'm writing. If you know any, then let me know.
Good night, everybody.
This has been the Science Faction Podcast. Tweet to the host at SciFact Podcast. Email them at sciencefactionpodcast@gmail.com and visit sciencefactionpodcast.com for more episodes.